Welcome to the Linguistics Show, where we talk about life, love, and everything else. There's always something to talk about with this couple, so you never know what may come out of their mouth.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Linguistics Show. I'm Carol.
Can I ask you just a serious question? Why is it that we do the Why is it that we do the corny intro like I'm Carol and this is Jason? Why can't it be like this is Carol and Jason like I did when I did my intro?
That is true how you said this is Jason. Because
you always say this is Carol and then it's a pause and I'm sitting there like okay.
Because you have your own voice and I don't want to say this is Carol and Jason if you're right there and you can speak for yourself. But I do understand that it may come across corny. Not trying to be corny. So let's try it again then.
I mean, you do the same thing every time. That's why I was asking. Like, is this what you want it to be? Because if that's what you want, then I'm going to make sure that I'm ready when you say that, so I can just hand this to Jason so that you can go ahead and talk and do your thing, because that's what we're doing.
It doesn't have to be that way, because when I was coming downstairs to our studio, I was thinking, let me try something different today. Let me just say, hey, we're back at it, or something like that. I don't have to always do the hey, it's Carol. But that's just how it's been. That doesn't mean that I can't change.
I know what it doesn't mean, baby.
Okay, it doesn't mean that I won't change how I do my intro. And we can also try new segments. Well, we don't have any segments. We had a segment, I think, like one time.
We don't do any of that stuff. We're doing serious relationship topics and things of that nature. That's what we're doing.
Well, I want us to have segments. I want us to actually, like, really figure out how we can make it our own. And so I know our format needs work. I am very aware. Do you want me to start over?
What you mean?
So today we're talking about first impressions.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be, for a relationship, a friend, coworker, any kind of first impression. Cause
how do you have a first impression in a relationship, though? So you mean to tell me that somebody you just seen on the street, you're automatically in a relationship? Hey, you.
No.
Hey, you.
Well,
hey, you. Hey, you. You right
too.
there. You with the butt. You with the fat booty.
Who, me?
With the fat booty. You with the fat booty. We're dating now. What do you mean, like first impressions in a relationship? That doesn't mean that's an oxymoron. That don't make sense.
How's okay?
How can you have a first impression in a relationship? Young, you don't have a relationship when you have your first impression.
Of that person. So I was thinking of different kind of ships. You have a relationship. You have a friendship.
What do you mean, like a championship? Do you mean like
I only had 2 ships.
Oh,
and the other
only
ones.
Had 2 ships.
Yeah.
You only had the Nina and the Pinta. No Santa Marina.
I was gonna say that you beat me to it. Come on, man. Don't come on.
Anyway, first impressions, not when you're in a relationship, because if you're in a relationship and you had a first impression, your ass is cheating. Because how do you have a first impression?
Okay,
you talk about your first impression of your new boss or your coworkers or your neighbor or something like that. Like to that extent, yeah. Like first impressions exist in all walks of life. Like they say you only get one chance to make a first impression. Well,
okay, Mr. Corny Voice.
I will give you the corny voice anytime I feel like it. And yes, you only do get one chance to make a first impression. So whatever, that cliche means to you, that's what we finna sit here and talk about today. Like, does it matter? Are they important? Do you want to follow through with your gut instinct on your first impressions?
What do you mean by follow through with your gut instinct? Like if someone's looking weird, like, oh, they're cuckoo, and you don't give them a second chance?
Accurate.
Okay, good. So
not just that,
bell for
but
myself.
not just. I mean, like sometimes your first impression of someone may be really positive, and they turn out to be a knucklehead, loser, psychopath. Sometimes your first impression of somebody may be really bland and lame, and then they end up to be multifaceted with tons of layers. And so, like, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like this whole thing. I am the captain of the gray area. Like, I am the gray area. Like, you can cue the daggone 2 Chainz song. I am the gray area. Like, I know you don't. That's okay.
I could try to find it, get a clip, and put it in
that's okay.
the show. You gotta tell me, like what it's actually called. I don't know what the song.
Called Gray Area. Like,
is that a new song? I don't know.
Anyway,
should I ask Black Twitter?
Anyway, anyway. I can't even focus behind that shit. Why would you ask me? Is that a new song?
I don't.
You just blew my whole vibe. Like, I don't remember when 2 Chainz put that shit out. 2 Chainz put out an album and a mixtape every 6 months. Like, this nigga's busy. He working. I ain't mad at him.
Okay.
He was trying to get out from underneath his record deal. So yeah, he working. Like, I ain't mad at him. Do you get your money, bro? 2 Chainz older than both of us and be out here rapping like he like 17. Like, this bomb is getting bread. He is one of my I'm serious.
So he's older than you.
Do you remember Disturbing the Peace, like Ludacris' whole crew?
Yeah. He was part of that?
Yes.
Oh.
I think
you told me that before several years ago.
That's Titty Boy.
I wasn't gonna say what his.
It doesn't matter.
Yes.
That was his rapper. That was his stage name back in 1996. 96, 97 when Luda came out. That was his stage name. That was 2 Chainz. That was 2 Chainz stage name back then. Yes.
So
when
Ludacris
came
out in the mid-90s?
Luda came out in the mid to late 90s.
So I feel kind of old right now.
When did the Fast and Furious sequel come out?
I don't know.
Because at that point, Luda was too fast, too furious. At that point, that Bama was established because he was on the soundtrack. So that, he was already, man, why are we talking about Ludacris? The point was these daggone first impressions. And see, this is what the daggone episode should be about is freaking tangents. Because every time we start talking about something else.
But then we bring it back and we can...
No, that's what you call a segue. You see how? But we bring it back as she's trying to bring it back.
Why you gotta make fun of my whole head nod that I was doing?
I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody sees that. Nobody sees that. We're not on video.
Well, we need to stop recording. Seriously.
You say that every.
Because you and I can have some really good some visual content.
Don't nobody want to see me right now in my in the house hoodie.
It's okay.
In the house hoodie. My DIY cut off sweatpants shorts, the most comfortable thing in the planet when you're in the house. My DIY cut off sweatpants shorts and some crew socks.
And I have a blanket on.
I mean, if you're a dude from the DMV in the 90s, you're probably wearing crew socks right now. Just that's I don't know. It's kind of the uniform. It's the recipe. Crew socks, some gray New Balance. You probably got a bucket hat on and a white tee, don't you? I bet you do. Anyway, speaking of first impressions, that's probably how I pulled up in that daggone classroom, and that's why this one over here says sprung. I pulled up with some damn white crew socks, some New Balance, a bucket hat, and a white tee, like a regular DMV Bama. I had my SUV, and I was bumping go-go. Look how I pulled up. Look how I pulled up. That's that first impression.
But I wouldn't have known the kind of vehicle you're driving because you're in class. How am I going to know what you're driving? Because I was riding all up around.
I was riding all up and down that John Bang. I remember that was when Blueprint came out. I was riding all up and down that.
All up and down Campus Drive. All the way down.
On my way to work. I had class and I'm on the way to work. I'm sorry. I don't live on campus. I'm sorry. I don't get to do y'all turn up stuff like I did at Salisbury. Sorry. I gotta go to work. I got bills to pay. That was me in college. I gotta go to work. Sorry,
yeah,
guys,
I got transferred to Maryland, but yeah, I feel you. So you had some good points. First impressions. So, what was your first impression of me?
This crazy chick. What's really going on? I was
sitting at my desk. So how are you gonna be like this crazy chick? I hadn't even done the other thing I was trying to impress you with, which I'll get to later in the episode.
Lord. First impression. What was my first impression of you? Way to put me on the spot without any kind of warning. That's the type of pressure situation that your husband thrives in.
Yes, you thrive under pressure.
So, first of all, my first impression, context clues, babe. Just the wrong usage of the wrong usage. Totally wrong usage. I
know what the song is about.
We know that you know what the song is about, ma'am, but it's a totally different usage of the word.
Okay.
You don't even know the context of the slang of the word because it can be used in other. It can be used in other ways than that. That's just saying. That's what's crazy about it because you're supposed to apply pressure at work. You're supposed to apply pressure when you're working out. You're supposed to apply pressure in anything that you do. It's not just about sex. That's just what Ari talking about.
I know.
No, you don't know. You thought it was just that.
The lyrics are not about going to work.
Lord help me, Jesus.
Well, I guess if you're going to work on someone's body.
Hey, young, just go. Hey, young, before we get on another tangent, I'm gonna just tell you like this. Go ahead, go look it up on Black Twitter, and then what I'm gonna do is go ahead and go look it up on Black Twitter. Go ahead, go download Black Twitter and look it up. And so, anyway, first impression. I'll be honest. My first impression was like, oh, she's cool. You were kind of on your. I remember when I first met you, you were on your anti-social life mode at that point. You were like, yo, I just cut all my hair. I wear my Air Max all the time and a hoodie. I don't want nobody to even know me. All I do is school because I'm so focused. And I'm only a second semester freshman, but I'm so focused. And I'm like, bro, you have no idea what you're about to get yourself into, ma'am. You have no idea what college is about to bang you with. So I'm glad that you're already having this crisis in between first and second semester freshman year because it's about to get so much more difficult.
It did get difficult.
It's about to get so much more difficult. So that would have been my first impression is that, oh, she's such a nice, cool chick. Like, she's laid back. Kind of chill.
With her Air Max on all the time.
With her Air Max on all the time. You know, I love my sneakers, so I noticed her Air Max 98s not her 98s, excuse me. You didn't have 98s. You had Air Max. You had the second Air Max Plus, which that was like, I forget the name of the shoe now, but it was the second Air Max Plus. It's not the official. It's not the official Air Max Pluses that had the little waves up the sides. Matter of fact, I know what it was. It wasn't the Air Max Pluses. They were the 96s because the 98s were the ones like Aaliyah has that had the bubble all the way. Look, tangents. See how we get on these tangents? My God, somebody.
You remember what kind of shoes I was wearing?
I remember sneakers.
Wow.
I remember sneakers. We've talked about this. Anybody who knows me know I make sneaker contact before I make eye contact.
Well, I hadn't.
People
know
this.
What I was wearing.
People know this about me.
Ago.
I know that's because you wore them daggone gray Air Max 98s all the time.
They were.
Excuse me, the 96s. You wore them joints all the time. They were comfortable. They're great. I wish I had a pair of them. They're dope. Remember when I tried to buy you another pair when I found out that they came back out?
Yes, I do.
Like, yo. Anyway, that was my first impression. Oh, she's got some cool little Air Max and wears a hoodie all the time, and she's kind of low key and chill. That's cool. I had a history at that point of my lifetime of the polar opposite of that type of person in my cipher. So, yes, that would have been my first impression. I was like, oh, she's super chill. She's laid back, real down to earth, real chill. I would say that would have been my first impression.
Okay. Well, my first impression of you was, wow, he's a lot different than what I thought he was going to be because
ring the alarm.
Okay.
Another sound is dying.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. Continue.
Because when I saw you come into class, I was thinking, no, he's probably gonna be arrogant, probably a Kappa.
Hey, you know what's crazy is I almost was a Kappa. Like, if it wasn't for that incident that happened at Maryland Eastern Shore, I would have been a Kappa. Imagine that. That's petty. Go ahead, continue.
And I would have been right then. Know that you.
That's that light skinned bias. And when y'all talk about colorism, remember it go both ways. By the way, colorism ain't just like dark skinned people. No, black people, y'all do it to us all the time. Don't let the light skin taste fool you. I'm thorough.
Okay, so I thought that you were gonna be, stuck up or uptight, all those kind of things that sometimes back in the early 2000s and maybe even in the 90s that people would associate with someone who is light skinned and has curly hair.
I can't help the facts. I'm mixed.
I understand.
Do you know how many times I've had
I
that
had no
conversation?
idea what your background was. I had no idea when I first met you.
But you still was going to judge me on my background, though. But didn't I come in school with a madness outfit with slouch socks on the first day of school?
I have no clue what you were wearing.
That's why I'm like,
I don't know.
So that's why I'm trying to figure out what was my first impression. Who is this Bama right here? That was my who does he think? You know what? The crazy thing is I've heard this story. So yes, what I've heard that my first impression on her was, who does he think he is coming in this class all late? And you know who the hell I thought I was? A goddamn junior who's trying to graduate and get to class. I don't care about none of that stuff. At this point, I realized that the first week of school is a throwaway. Just figure out where your classes are and get your damn syllabus.
But I would not have known that about you. Okay, so I had no idea, number one, that you were well, first of all, I had, with my hands too. Yeah. So I had no idea. I had no idea that you were a junior or a transfer student. Or I didn't know these things.
Of course not, dude. Do we have that? Is that like the scarlet letter? Like I gotta wear it on my shirt? Transfer. Is that like? Is it like you just see Bama's on cap? You know what? When you go to certain schools, you can look at youngins and be like, and you can just look at that Bama and be like,
sometimes
transfer.
Yeah.
Look at his daggone Yankee. Look at his damn Yankee fitted in his butt of Tim's. Look at his Yankee fitted in his butt of Tim's. Transfer. You ain't a DMV, Bram. Transfer. You didn't. That's how you could tell. That was one way we could tell. Is like when you start to see these youngins, they start talking about son. What up, son?
But yeah, that's obvious.
What up, son?
That they
or
the
other one. Hey, dummy. What up, dummy? And it's like, oh, you one of them, huh? Yeah, yo, dummy. You freaking Baltimore Bamas, man. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so
we're gonna have another. We're gonna have a college. We're gonna have a college tour of the '90s damn episode, and oh my gosh, the stereotypical tangents that existed in the nightlife in the '90s when you're talking about the colleges in the DMV, man. The Baltimore crew, the DMV crew, like the Go-Go's. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Remember when we used to have to go to the club wearing business casual? Like we had to dress up business casual to go to the club? Like, oh my gosh, man. Wait till that episode.
Yes,
that's going to be
save
something
that for
crazy.
A few episodes.
So you mean to tell me that my first impression on you was for real? What the hell does he think he doing showing up all late like that? What, I'm supposed to skip class because I didn't know where the classroom was? I'm sorry. It's a new campus for me.
Yeah, I mean, I get all that. Okay, so not just that you were late, but because I wasn't judging you because you were late. I didn't hold
She
back.
was judging me because I was
That
late.
was just-
Ironically,
that was-
she's
I
late
was-
for everything. Ironically, I married a woman who is late for. She was
And
not
you are
late for
Mr.
her
Punctual.
wedding. She was not late for our wedding.
Aww.
But she did hold up the process. She did hold up the ceremony, but she was not late for. You were not late for the wedding, but you did hold up the ceremony some. Anyway.
I'm looking really puzzled. So I'm talking
You're
about
not
that.
going to remember that. That's fine.
Yeah, you're gonna tell me about that later.
That's fine. We adjusted all the clocks in the church just to make sure that she didn't notice.
You said that before. No one's like that. You didn't. You're making up stuff.
Okay.
Wait, Pastor C, right? Is that true? Let me start.
You know,
I know
Pastor Reverend C. Right ain't listening to none of this.
I know.
He's not listening to none of the secular.
He doesn't have the answer.
He is not listening to none of the secular podcasts.
But okay, so my first impression of you, as you already stated, was no. Who do you think you are coming in late? But that was on day one. That was on that Tuesday.
Well, that's the first impression.
But I will say, like by like the next week or so, I quickly changed my perception of you. And so, like, do you think? Now, what do you think? Because obviously it happens, that at times a first impression is not always accurate. Because I was wrong about you.
I was bringing that energy. I was bringing that I already know what's going on in the world energy. because at that point I didn't know what was going on in the world, but at least I knew what was going on in the college world.
Right, because I'm like, maybe
And
on
so-
college campuses.
And so maybe, I might have had went to a small school and split time between hanging out at the HBCU and the small school, but I had at least experience on campus. Granted, I don't think it's really that big a deal, because at that point in my life, I wasn't running the streets and partying and stuff like that. I had a job. I was working and going to school. So I grew up immediately. Within a couple years of high school, I grew up immediately. So I guess I probably had a different vibe about me because, from my perspective, I was like really not playing games at that point. Like I knew that I had a certain situation that I had to handle, and so I'm pretty sure that any other guys that you had bumped into at that time frame that were going through the type of things that I was going through in that time frame probably wouldn't have carried themselves with the bit of swagger and the kind of like, I don't know, I have a tendency to, when stuff get really hard on me, to act super chill. I don't know why that is. It's probably a defense mechanism.
Right, I was gonna
like,
say that.
It's probably like, instead of fight or flight, like I'm chill. Like I'm like, yo, okay, now it's time to break the problem down and figure out what to do next. Like I thrive under pressure. I don't say it because it sounds cute. I really do. When
I
stuff
know.
gets
Yeah,
crazy, I tend to like really get it together, which is a testament to my intestinal fortitude, but also to the fact that I have a really high stress tolerance, and it's unhealthy. But anyway,
You do have a high stress tolerance, but the first part of what you said, I really do admire how even under pressure you don't crack, and if you do, you don't let it be shown. And so the second part of what you were saying, I do agree, it's not always healthy, but you do have a really strong way of just keeping your cool and your calm when things that may have broken someone within like a few times of happening, like you can still manage and like carry on. It's
so
wonderful.
there's a few of y'all listeners who know like our background to a certain extent, and know my particular background, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, as my football career short-lived fell apart. As I got back to University of Maryland, I ended up transferring there and was staying at home. The circumstances were a little bit dubious, but it is what it is. All right. I'm working. I give a lot of credit, and to this day, I actually ran an orientation for one of my employees today, and I mentioned this man's name because, again, if it wasn't for Hector giving me a chance at a management job that I didn't even apply for back when I was, 20?
You're like 20, yeah.
I was 20, and I didn't even apply for a management job, and he gave me a management job. He gave me a chance. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be nowhere, because at that point in my life, I literally was on the verge of having nothing. And so that's what's interesting about first impressions, right? Carol met me right before an extremely volatile time in my life. She met me about 6 months before the most volatile time in my entire life. And the ironic thing about that is that first impression. So I must have made some kind of first impression on this person, because within 6 months of meeting me, my entire life flipped upside down, and I was a completely different person, for the better and for the worse. And so, for what that's worth, I guess it was a good first impression. Now, sometimes you have these kind of first impressions, and it could be somebody that you want to deal with on that kind of level. It could be like a friend, it could be a coworker, it could be something work related, like a boss or like a subordinate. It could be like your neighbors. One of the weirdest first impressions that I've ever had was when we bought our house down here in 2019 in Southern Maryland. Now, I was relatively familiar with the neighborhood, being as though I ran a business down here, and my significant other grew up down here, literally around the corner. So I know the neighborhood and things of that nature to a certain extent, right? Right. Plus, my crew, a bunch of my friends live down here. Like I know the South Side to a certain extent, right? Right. So,
Okay.
So, we moving in or whatever, and there's this little dude.
Come
This little dude just walks right up while we're moving in, like it's me and the cats we paid to help me move. Because I mean, all right. So a couple of my homies, my two homies, really helped me pack our house. And my wife's friend really helped us pack our house. The three of y'all get all the love at all times, because if it wasn't for the three of y'all, we would not have this house, because we were up against some extenuating circumstances. We had to have the house clear. Yeah. So anyway, we get to the new house, right? We're moving in. It's actually getting dark, about to rain, and me and the moving guys are moving stuff in and out the house, right? And this random redheaded, freckled face Caucasian boy just walks up to me.
Oh, because that was his son.
Just walks up to me and says, "Hi, hey, hi." I was like, "Hey, man, what's up?" "Hi, look, hey, you guys are moving in, huh?" I was like, "Yeah." "All right, cool. Well, me and my family live over here." I was like, "Okay, that's what's up." And then at that point, he saw that we had kids, and whatever weird situation happened with that since then, that's my guy. But guess what? He's the coolest kid in our freaking neighborhood. Yeah. He really is the only kid who's friends with all the black kids, all the white kids, all the boys, all the girls, all the teenagers. Everybody messes with him. And so, like, that's cool, right? That's the coolest thing in the world, Dave. When you have your first impression and he's like, "Young, who the fuck is this kid?" And he ends up being the coolest kid in the world. Now, granted, my kids might not think he's the coolest kid in the world because they're girls and they don't want to have a boy just hanging out around.
Quite the boy.
You know, he's a like, I'm skateboarding, driving my remote control car, shooting BB guns. He's a boy, you know what I mean? And so my girls is like, first of all, my girls are PG County girls, and second of all, they're like, hold the hell up. Like, who the hell is this boy? So granted, that's a first impression. You don't want to know what's another first impression dealing with these kids since we moved in this house? A month after school started, I came home from work. It just so happened to be a day that I worked early, and I was home at like 3:45, right? Some little... He pulled up on a little mini bike and said to me, "Yo, Angelina live here?"
Did he really say, like, yo?
Yo. Like this. "Yo, Angelina live here? Is Angelina home?" I said, "Nigga, Angelina not home." Who the hell is this little 8-year-old boy who pulled up on a little mini motorcycle asking for my dog? It took everything in my power not to strangle him up. And come to find out, he's a cool ass kid
who lives diagonal.
Right. Come to find out, he's a cool ass kid. His parents are cool. Like
I'm gonna question his parents.
You're being a hater. His parents are alright. His parents, look, he's a cool kid. Hater. He's a good kid. His parents are cool. But man, day one, you pulled up on me talking about where Angelina, and you got a mini bike. Nigga, you lucky I didn't go in the house and come back out here with something for you. Who the hell just pulls up and asks for somebody's daughter? Like, bruh. Anyway, that's a first impression for your ass. When somebody just pull up and be like, "Hey, where Angelina?" Young, what? I almost wanted to fight that little kid. I was about to choke slam him. So yeah, these first impression type things can go a lot of different ways. You know what else was a funny first impression? The first time I met your grandma.
Oh gosh.
The first time I met your grandma.
In our better days of grandma and I.
The first time I met your grandma was at one of our house parties.
Was it at the townhouse then?
Yeah.
It had to be townhouse.
At the townhouse. That was the first time I met your grandma, was at the townhouse in Disher Heights. And so my first impression...
I got to hear this because I need to laugh.
"Hey, you got any more of that brown? You got any more of that brown? Go ahead and pour me up."
That sounds like her.
I was like, "Okay, Grandma G, yes, ma'am. Let's go get this." So there's a first impression for your ass. Like, first impressions can be funny. They can be, they can be relatively kind of lame and dry. There's been times where I've had. So one of my best friends in the world, my first impression of him was like, this nigga lame as shit. Like, why are you so dry and boring? You gotta be from like Baltimore or something.
I am like really trying to figure out in my head which person. Now,
I know because the crazy thing is the first time I met him, he didn't work with me. The first time I met him, I was like, yo, who the fuck is this Bama?
Why's it gotta be a Bama?
It's a
just because his style is different.
It's a DC Baltimore like thing. It's a DC thing. If you're from inside the Beltway or the relatively adjacent,
I know what a Bama is.
The
Act like I don't
adjacent
know.
counties. This is not for you, ma'am. This is for the listening audience.
Oh, my bad.
Right. So. Anyway, I was like, who the fuck is this Bama? And I didn't even know. He was cool as a fan. End up being like really one of my best friends.
Okay, can you give me a non-elusive, or probably the wrong word, but I'll go with it anyway. Can you give me a physical description that is not going to give it away? Because I am really trying to...
Can't do it. But for all those who know the inside jokes, hibachi.
Okay, thank you. I know who you're talking about now.
Anyway,
okay,
that's a first impression for your eyes. I was like, young, who the fuck is this Bama? But like asking me questions and questioning my little employee discount and shit. But ended up being like one of the coolest dudes I ever knew in my entire life. And has helped me out with a lot of stuff. I helped him out with a lot of stuff, and can really call him one of my best friends, one of my brothers. And so that's how first impressions go. Like sometimes first impressions are silly.
Yeah, now
sometimes the shit is legitimately silly, and then you come to find out, nah, this is a serious person. Sometimes it's so somber and boring and lame, and then they end up being cool as hell. It's that. So you can't always trust your gut. Sometimes you want to trust your gut. You want to feel like, that first thing I felt is how I should feel. I should trust my instinct, trust my gut. Sometimes you want to. But for real, that can lead to a lot of trouble. So you want to trust your instincts. You want to feel confident in yourself and your ability to how would you say, judge character to a certain extent. But sometimes them first impressions can lead you astray.
Well, I am glad that my first impression of you was not right.
Was not right.
Yeah, I am. And I'm glad that we got to know each other.
So,
like G-Unit, I want to get to know you.
Who the hell is this walking in this class?
That's all
Who does he think he is?
Yes, because I remember that I was sitting in maybe the second or third row. The second or third row. And so you couldn't, Yoshi's talking about whatever he's talking about. I don't know what he's talking about.
Shout out Yoshi again, dog. If I know you don't subscribe to my podcast, but dog, shout out to Yoshi. He was cool. He was a swag champion. Yoshi was literally a real life version of Han from Fast and Furious.
Yes.
He was a swag champion. So everybody who hates on Asian culture, like, y'all just don't know people. Like, Yoshi was cool as hell, bro. Yoshi was a bro. Like, Yoshi was super cool. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. But a few minutes ago you were talking.
Oh, the sound effects. Oh,
I thought the thing had just moved, but that was me. I didn't know it was moving because my eyes were closed. So you mentioned a few minutes ago that sometimes a first impression could be silly or that kind of thing, but sometimes people, whether it's a man or a woman, does things to get someone's attention because they're trying to be like, hey, let me do things to stand out. And so, like, back when we had first started our podcast, I don't know whether it was the preview episode 1 or whatever it was, but I gave like a little hint of the whole wig story with me. That's
cannot.
that's
So
why
no.
need a
We
camera so they can see your
no. They don't want to see my face right now
It was
because
funny. Your face was okay. I thought it was funny.
So
your face you just
so
made.
the thing about that was, and so that's not a first impression. That was like a 12th impression.
Yeah, but it's
that was like the 12th or 13th time I've seen this woman.
But sometimes,
so no, that's not a first impression. We're not going to tell that story right now because that doesn't count for this conversation. That counts for one of those conversations where it's like, bro, you know how when people do something silly to get somebody else's attention? Let me tell you a story about some shit. That's not a first impression story. I already knew you at that point.
I know you.
So how can that be a first impression,
I know you knew me, but like honestly, like your impression of me may have changed, even though by then I knew you maybe like a few months or maybe I don't know when it was. I know it was the spring semester, and it wasn't like blazing hot outside, so it wasn't even May, so maybe like March or April. But like you have said before, jokingly, maybe probably seriously, that like you probably thought I was maybe crazy by doing that, because sometimes people like may start off one way and then they change. I'm like, So I will save that for the right time.
Ha! The right time. When is that? We don't know.
Is that a song lyric?
Somebody help this woman. Please, someone help.
I mean, I didn't know the 2 Chainz songs, so how am I going to know?
Do you hear what I deal with? And so understand that about.
And I'm being my total self too. I'm not trying to be
wrong
goofy.
With that. There's nothing wrong. We know you're not trying to be goofy. It just comes naturally. Anyway, so we talked about a couple of different scenarios, right? We talk about when you have friends that you might meet somebody. So, as adults, making friends is kind of weird, right? It's kind of weird. Like, you don't want to be that weird, creepy dude. Hey, bro, you want to hang out and get a beer? Like, you don't want to be that weird, creepy dude.
Is that?
Hey, bro, do you want to go play basketball? Like, that's weird, right? Like, generally speaking, once you're adults, you make friends through work, sometimes shared experiences. Like, I made a couple of friends involving my car because they had similar cars, and it was like a, Chevy thing or whatever. But generally speaking, your first impressions of people can be kind of weird. And we talked about, your friendships, we talked about relationships, but there's other situations where you have first impressions of people, and you gotta be like, you gotta take a step back and be like, yo, what the fuck? Or maybe you be like, yo, maybe you take a step back and be like, yo, that was dope. And then sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong. So do you really trust your first impression, or is it one of those things you take on a case-by-case basis?
And I would think it's a case-by-case basis.
Really?
Because every person is different,
right.
and so it's not fair. And I know you're gonna say life's not fair. I know that, but it's not fair to give someone, or I guess give people a blanket kind of, I judge you this way because you did that, because everyone has their own unique personality.
True, but I don't think it's about judging people to a certain extent, though. I'm one of those type of people that I say this to my wife sometimes. I say this to people at work. I say this to people. This is a real live phrase. If you know me, you've heard me say this, is I want to talk to the real you, not your representative. Not your representative. I don't want your lawyer. I don't want the person who's going to give me the perfect answers. I want the real. And so from my perspective, I really do look into first impressions to a certain extent. It's not the be all end all. Let's not get that twisted. It's not the be all end all. But the first thing I feel about someone generally tends to be on. Now, that might have something to do with the fact that I'm an empath as far as my sociological, psychological makeup or whatever. I'm an empath. Like, I feel people's emotions. When I talk to them, when I see them, when I be around them, I just feel their emotions. They don't even gotta say nothing to me. I can feel your emotions standing next to you. And so for me, I've always been a generally strong judge of character, which has led me to be a bit of an introvert, because I can tell people are bullshitting before they reveal it. I can tell people are cool before they know that they're cool. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of just person I am that has extended into my professional career, and it just so happens to be why I'm so good at recruiting. But when you're dealing with these first impressions, this is just something I want to ask my significant other that I'm related to by marriage. When it comes to these first impressions, do you really feel as though you've learned to take it at face value, or do you have it like you know how you have those old cartoons where you had the devil and the
right.
angel on your shoulder? Right. So is it like on one side you're like, okay, I'm gonna take them at face value, this was my first impression, and then on the other side you're like, forget the first impression, I'm gonna like break it down for what it is. Like, do you ever have that kind of internal conflict? Because for me, I know this is gonna sound weird, but I never have that internal conflict. My first impression literally is all I think of you until you prove me wrong.
And I hear what you're saying, and even though I know I am quite judgmental.
Ooh! Quite. She is Judge Judy, Judge Mathis, Judge Joe, she is Judge. She's Judge Dredd. She's Judge Dredd. She's what's the Bama that play for the Yankees? She's that little 6'7" nigga that be hitting the home runs. What's his name? Ern. Oh, and because we from the DMV, he's not Aaron Judge. He's Ern Judge.
I've heard of him before.
He's
okay.
Ern Judge. Anyway, continue. Ern Judge.
Okay.
Earn Judge.
Okay.
For y'all Baltimore Mariners, earn. Go ahead. Aaron earned an Irish earn.
I already know why you're saying the different kinds of earn.
Hey, we need to have Q as a guest host.
She and Kenny will be guests on our podcast, but we have to get through a few more things. We're not ready for our guests yet. So, yes, Q and Kenny, we've already talked about y'all being on the show because we love y'all so much. Y'all are our like sister brother couple.
I just need that upper Maryland perspective from my girl sometimes because you know all y'all we just kind of anti-B more on this side. So I need that perspective, Mo. I do. Anyway,
yeah. So
we see we should change this from the linguistic show to the tangent podcast because we can't never stay on track. We call it.
I'm trying to answer your question though.
My bad. I'm gonna rotate my rotational chair around and face this way so she can answer her question.
And then when you talk, it's gonna sound weird because you're facing an
It's a rotational chair. I'll rotate back around just like I just did. Anyway, I'm going back.
Around. Okay. So you were asking about like if you not you, but if I stick with my first impression or whether I give them a chance to like show who they are. And so even though I'm judgmental, I know how to separate my judginess from giving someone a fair shot. And so I don't usually judge or keep that first impression until, as you were saying, they showed me or give me a reason to think differently of it. But I will say that you are a good judge of character. I don't dispute that. And you were actually right several years ago about some of the female friendships that I had that so that's why we need to be recording so people can
see me give you the Loretta Devine. My eyes just popped out of my head like, I'm right. She said I'm right.
Yes.
She said I'm right. She said I'm right. Fellas. Pause. Fellas. She said I'm right, bruh.
And you're going to turn your chair around until you talk again.
I dropped the mic. Dropped it.
Yep, you dropped the proverbial invisible mic.
Lord, it's not an invisible mic. It's a mic actually sitting on a table that I'm talking into right now. It's not invisible, and I don't want to drop it because then I got to pick it up and we can't talk anymore. So anyway.
So anyway, what I was saying is that you have been right in terms of some of the of the female friends that I had back in our early days of being married, and kind of before we had kids too, because
What was I right about?
about envy and maybe people not being as genuine as I thought they would be. Because I've said this to you before, that no one has any reason to ever envy me. But as I had some changes in our life, such as having a baby, we had a miscarriage, I know, prior, but actually having a baby, that brought out different. Well, okay, to me it was different traits, but it was traits that you saw like from the beginning. And so I did not see these things because I just didn't see them. And so I had no idea, that friendships would shift based on a life change. And sometimes it can shift in a good way, but in this case, it shifted downward.
Yes, because I'm the type of person who can feel different people's emotions, and I'm also, let's just say, from a first impression perspective, I'm kind of a perfect storm, and that's what makes me so good at my job. Again, like I said before, from that recruiting perspective, number one, I'm an empath. Like, I can feel other people's emotions before they tell me what's going on. I can feel them. And I've been like that since I was a kid, and I didn't know what it meant until I was in my mid-30s. But I always used to wonder why when other people were sad, I was sad. When my friends were angry, I was like the biggest, rowdiest, angriest, wanted to fight. Like when I played sports and we would get all hyped up, I was the hype man. Like, I always wondered why everyone's emotions affected me so much. And, as I've grown up and learned and looked into psychology, now I know. And so being an empath is a major part of first impressions. Like, before you said anything, I already feel you. The second part is that being someone who's been through a lot of stuff, but has also seen a lot of different kinds of people, been exposed to different people, different walks of life, from different backgrounds, different parts of the country, different parts of the world even, allows you to look at circumstances a bit differently. And so when you first meet someone, let's say someone might be down on their luck. They might be down on their luck. They might be a bit disheveled. They might be, whatever, walking from the subway or something, their shoe came untied, and they were just on the phone and they're stressed out and they've been walking and they're sweaty because they've been walking and it's summertime, and you just bump into this person, you can be like, look at this sweaty ass, stressful, disheveled, dirty looking person, and you might not realize that they just having a rough morning. That's what, again, from my perspective, being with my job position where I deal with recruitment and training and hiring and such, that's been really beneficial for me, is understanding that people go through things. When you've never experienced things, it's hard to understand how people go through things. It's hard to compartmentalize what they might be going through is not indicative of who they are as a person. And so you have to look through the visible stuff. And that's a challenge. It's a big challenge. It's a big time challenge to say, yo, I see this person and they're disheveled. They're clearly tired. They're going through something. And see that they're a real, live, valuable person. And so that's a skill set that I didn't have to learn or something. It just ended up being part of my personality. And I didn't even know that until I was in a position where, as a hiring manager for businesses, it was up to me to figure out who these people were.
Yeah, you gotta weed them out.
I gotta weed them out. I gotta do interviews and stuff like that, right? So that's how you find out. And so that's the second part of, I guess, why I'm so good at the first impression stuff.
At the judge of character.
The third part is kind of nefarious, but it is real and it's who I am. I learned early on not to trust what I see.
Now that is something that I think is a really good point, because you were able to see when certain female friends of mine were not, authentic or genuine, and to me, I thought that they were, and I would have never had a clue that they were, had different kinds of motives. And like, you may say, oh, Carol, like, you're being naive or you're being blind, but I can sometimes tell when certain women are not, totally genuine. So I can separate that usually, but like it's some, but in certain cases, when we went through life changes, I was able to then see some of the traits and first impressions that that you saw. So it took me years, or I'm like maybe like 2-3 years, to actually like had those experiences that like you maybe from like day one or day two could see right away. And it wasn't just you that could see these things. There were some of my old, I guess I'll call them
OG friends, the playground, the sandbox crew.
Okay,
your sandbox crew,
yeah,
your day ones,
yes,
your hashtag day ones, as we call them, your day ones.
Yes, it was some of them, plus some people that I knew from school as well, from college, who could see things that I just couldn't see until things changed for me. And for example, like when we actually had our first child, that really showed me that, hey, some of these people who I really had rocked with for a couple of years while we were childless, that, hey, they may not have been like really for me like I thought they were. Mm-hmm. And so like you could see that pretty much right away, but I couldn't.
And
how could you tell?
Yeah, but and you're making it sound like I'm some kind of superhero or something, like I can just read people. I'm not
making it like you're like a psychic or superhero. No, but in some cases you have been spot on about people. Maybe like Carol, like, I don't know about her, and so how do you know these things sometimes? You are a superhero, but you're not
I am a superhero.
But you're not the friendship mind reader.
I might not be super. I might be jai like regular, but I am a hero. Real talk. I saved the fucking day multiple times. Anyway.
And you don't crack under pressure.
Anyway, how do I know? I really do. I can't even explain it. It's just a feeling. You ever know that feeling when they say, oh, you got butterflies in your stomach?
Yeah.
Like you feel hungry, like you're nervous?
Yeah.
I get that feeling around certain people. You ever get that
like
feeling?
An awkward kind of feeling?
Yeah, like an awkward kind of feeling. Yeah. You ever get that feeling like uneasy, like, yo, this shit don't feel right. Like, I don't trust this.
I mean,
I get that feeling, but I get it physically. I'm not saying like it's in my mind and I'm like thinking about it. I'm saying that like I get it physically, like I feel cold.
Oh, okay.
Like I feel cold when I can tell something doesn't feel right and I shouldn't trust it, or something's going to put me in danger. I feel cold. I've always felt like that. I don't know how to explain it. Like I feel cold. Like I feel like a chill, like whoo. Like I even shiver a little bit, like ooh.
Like you're in a movie.
Like
people
ooh,
do.
Like yeah. And people will look at me like, what the fuck? What was he drinking? And it's just like, nah, bro. Like something.
I had a feeling about that person over there.
Nah, I wouldn't do all that because that's some weirdo shit. Like I would just look at him. I would just look at him and take a sip of my drink and just okay, I'll look at you. I'll watch you. So to answer your question accurately, I really don't know. Like, I don't know how or why it happens. It's just a feeling. It's like, and the crazy thing is I can't trust it every time. Because sometimes I'm wrong. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I'm wrong. But most of the time, as it pertains to character,
right,
I'm right. I might be wrong about the decisions that someone would make when put under pressure. But as it pertains specifically to character, I'm generally right. And so the crazy thing about that is that when you have that working in the back of your head, it's kind of a non-stop, like, you never stop overthinking it. And that's the downside to this whole thing, where you're like, oh, you can read people. Oh, you're such a good judge of character. Oh, you don't understand that it don't turn off. And so
it's like a blessing and a curse. Like,
it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing and a curse, definitely, because there's times it's like I don't want to think about nothing. Like, I just want to enjoy whatever I got going on. But somebody will say something, and then I start thinking about it, and then I start thinking about it, then I overthink it, and next thing you know, I've wasted an hour going down a rabbit hole, thinking in my head about all of these scenarios that could have happened based on a throwaway statement that someone said. That's that overthinking shit that gets people in trouble. And so, yes, I might be a great judge of character. Yes, first impressions might be a motherfucker for me because I am a good judge of character. However, I am an overthinker. And
yeah, you and I both overthink a lot of different things.
And so being an overthinker is like, yo, that first impression, you could be dead wrong. But if you believe in it,
right,
now you really screwed yourself. And so that's trouble. I believe that this type of thing should come with checks and balances. Just make sure that if you want to be the type of person who believes in your gut instinct, you want to be the type of person who lives with conviction, because that's the type of person I wasn't when I was younger, but I learned that that's the type of person I needed to be mentally stable, to be happy, to be normal. I had to live with conviction. Mm-hmm. And what does that actually mean? It's not just, oh, do what you say and say what you mean. Like, not like that, like old folks say. I mean, it's like, see, yeah, you have that first impression of somebody, believe it, live it. Wait till they prove you wrong. Believe in yourself. Put yourself first. That's something that's really hard for me, is putting myself first, because everybody who knows me knows that I put everybody before myself. And so that's what does make it a challenge. And to kind of bring it on back, because we've been on tangents, we've been on windy roads, we've been on the highway, we've done everything
our
tonight.
Equipment cut off, so we done
everything. So to kind of bring it all back into perspective, the main thing is that at the end of the day, you only have, even if you're in a committed relationship like I am, at the end of the day, you really only owe it to one person, and that's yourself. If your feelings inside are telling you something's wrong, or maybe they're telling you something's right, believe it. Believe it until you're proved wrong. Unfortunately, I didn't understand that until I was much later in life and much more mature and understood, like, the value of time, the value of relationships, the value of that sort of energy. I wish I knew that when I was younger, because I've always been the type of person that I knew who not to fuck with. That's how, when you met me, I was always running the streets. I was always doing stuff I probably shouldn't have been doing. But did I ever get caught up? No. Because I knew as soon as something felt weird, I felt cold, and I got the fuck out of there. So, yeah. For what it's worth, trust yourself. Trust yourself. I can tell you right now that trusting myself not only got me out of a lot of situations that I might have been caught up and really in a bad way, but also got me into a lot of good situations as well, because I trusted myself. And so, as far as these first impressions are concerned, remember that you really got to trust yourself. Really, really think about it from that perspective, because at the end of the day, the only person you really got to impress is yourself. And so, I hope that what we talked about today can help you on your day-to-day life, in your work experiences, in your relationship experiences. Maybe you're single and you're dating, you bump into somebody in the train and y'all get to rapping. Maybe you and your friends at work are going to happy hour and you bump into somebody at the bar and you get to know them. Maybe you got a new person who just transferred to your division at work and you don't want to be antisocial. Just think about these first impressions. It's not always going to be the cut and dry, this is the absolute answer for this person. But trust yourself. Trust your instincts. Because at the end of the day, the only person who's looking out for you is who? You. Being an adult is looking out for yourself because self-preservation is healthiness. Then part of self-preservation is preserving the things around you that build your happiness, your family, your network, you know what I'm saying, your village. You want to build those things up to help build you up. And so part of that is these first impressions, like we've been talking about all this time. Is like when you meet people, believe you. Don't necessarily believe what they say. Believe you and how you feel about that person until they either prove you right or they prove you otherwise.
Okay.
And with that little tidbit of advice, I'm hoping that as someone who is admittedly good at this judging of character thing, and also have been told by lots of different people in a personal and professional perspective, that this is something that I'm relatively good at. Take it from me when I tell you, believe in yourself. Trust your first instincts of someone and let them either prove you right or prove you wrong. Don't play favorites now. Don't say, oh, I can't wait till they prove me right or I can't wait till they prove me wrong. Let them be them. But trust you. Because at the end of the day, they don't have a responsibility to make you feel a certain kind of way. You do. So trust in your impression, so to speak. And so I hope we made an impression on y'all Bamas today. And if we did, you better like the Daggone Podcast. You better subscribe to Daggone Podcast.
Tell a friend.
Tell a friend. Tell a friend.
Or your neighbor.
You know what? If you got that Instagram thing, which I'm sure you do, they got them 3 little dots up there in the corner. You just click on that, and then it says share to. Oh my God! Share the podcast, Mo. Share the podcast, Mo. If you like what we talking about, tell a friend, Mo. That's how things happen. It's called grassroots marketing.
Yes.
Oh my God!
I've learned a lot about that this year from my sister, from our oldest daughter, our middle daughter, from you. I'm trying to catch up as being a podcast producer and Instagram marketer. I'm learning.
Grassroots marketing. You grow it from the ground up, Slim. So, if you like what we talking about, maybe even a little tidbit of the bullshit that I was talking about helps you figure out a situation you dealing with a friend of yours or a relationship or somebody at work, or it gives you the courage to go holler at that person that you see on the train every morning. You finally are going to be like, yo, you had such a first impression on me that I had to say something. And because we're the weirdos who are on the train at 6 a.m. every morning, I see you every morning. Like, if I inspired you to go holler at that person, so be it. That's what this is about. Believe in yourself, y'all. Believe in yourself, family. Believe in yourself. All right? Because nobody gonna do it for you. Now, we done told you to holler at all the platforms. What are the platforms again? Spotify is one of them.
Yes, we have Anchor. We have Stitcher. And we had, of course, the website.
If y'all ever, that anybody who knows me knows that I speak in memes based on my text messages.
I didn't know what a meme was until like 2 or 3 years ago.
She thought meme
was
a
whole
2-syllable word. She thought no. This is the.
I knew it was not.
This is the linguistic show. You thought it was a meme.
I thought it was a meme.
That's even worse,
because
Frenchie.
It's French.
That's even worse,
I knew
Frenchie.
It wasn't
it's
meme.
a meme. It's a meme.
So because Anyhow, that's another
Bruh,
episode.
if you know anybody, if you know
Black Twitter and things I don't know about until recently.
Memes
like
and Black Twitter and things I don't know about.
Recently.
That should be on a T-shirt. So yes.
Keena, okay, so Keena, even though you're probably not a listener, this is on record. I'm gonna give me a shirt that says it's called memes, right? Oh, memes, Black Twitter, and other things. We really gotta wrap this joint up.
I ain't wrapping shit up. Whenever we feel like it, like.
Bye.
Bye, y'all. But no, seriously though, trust yourself, trust your instincts. I keep saying it again because it's important. It's important. If I can teach y'all anything with this podcast, this episode in particular means a lot to me. Trust your instincts. Please trust your instincts. The things that you think are the right decisions are not always the right decisions. Your head and your heart are always going to be battling. And so this first impression thing is literally a battle between your head, which is looking at the data in front of it and saying, yo, this person is this. Look at this. Look at that. Look at this. Look at that. And your heart, which is telling you, yo, see how they acting? See what they said? See how it feels? See how they make you feel? It's a battle. So you have to trust yourself. When whatever your first feeling is, trust it. And allow them to either prove you right or prove you wrong. And that is one of the whole key things to life that I hope that you learn from us. I mean, I learned a lot from this particular thing. The crazy thing is when my significant other that I'm related to by marriage, I love using that phrase.
Yeah, it's one of your new catchphrases now.
Shout out to Tony Kornheiser. That was a dope phrase when I first heard it on the Tony show. That was dope. Shout out to Tony Kornheiser. But when we first started talking about this was the topic, I was like, really? No, first impressions? Like, oh man, I gotta think back to 20 some odd years ago when I first saw this woman. Like, what was I thinking? I don't know. I was probably like half drunk from the night before in class. I was a junior. Like, I turned up. I was a club.
10 a.m. drunk.
That's what
clubbing. He's possibly saying.
I was clubbing at that point.
On a Monday night, because your class on Tuesday, got you.
Hey, anybody from the DMV know that Sunday is college night? You heard?
But not on Monday.
Anybody from the DMV knows that Sunday is college night. You heard? We didn't leave the club till 4 a.m. And then we went to IHOP, Slim. Like, dog, I just fell into class coming straight from the club, Mo.
This was a Tuesday.
You just said Monday. You just said Monday. See, now we're bringing up old
Monday
stuff. Now we're bringing up old stuff. You see how
it was a snow day.
Hey, Mo.
So let's wrap this up.
Hey, Mo, you see how she moved the goalpost on me, Mo?
I didn't move the goalpost. When we hear the playback, like, you're gonna know that I was talking about Tuesday. So I'll leave it at that. That was a good episode.
Mm-hmm. If you enjoyed this, like, comment,
subscribe, and share to the Linguistic Show.
This has been an Ashangali Enterprises production.
Co-produced by Naomi. Music by Brassville.